when you get an employee to consistently exercise and engage with well-being, that employee is going to spend 35% less on healthcare costs. Second, they're 40% less likely to leave the company just because they're more resilient, they're a better state of mental health, and etc. And absenteeism reduces substantially as well because people get less sick.
Welcome back to the Fitt Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Veneri. Today I'm joined by Cesar Carvalho, co-founder and CEO of Wellhub. In this episode, we discuss the company's evolution and rebranding from Gympass, building a corporate wellness platform spanning fitness, mental health, nutrition, and sleep. Plus, we talk about the future of holistic well-being in the workplace. Let's get into it. Today's episode is brought to you by EGYM. EGYM provides fitness and health facilities with smart workout solutions built on its ecosystem of hardware, software, and partners. But it's more than cool tech. Their connected training experience delivers business results while helping members reach their wellness goals. If you run a gym, health club, YMCA, or any kind of fitness facility, you should check them out. Visit egym.com to learn more. Hi, Cesar. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Joe, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat. And I think a long time coming. I've been looking forward to the conversation. Listeners are going to know you and maybe the company as Gympass, now Wellhub. And maybe just to kick things off, can you tell us about what you're working on? We'll get into that transition and just a quick introduction to get things started.
For sure. So Cesar, co-founder and CEO of Wellhub. And here at Wellhub, our mission is to help every single company become a wellness company. And the way to do that is by helping every employee check in with their well-being every single day. Every employee is checking in with social media, into flights, into hotels. But how often are people really checking in with how they're doing with physical activity, nutrition, sleep, and therapy? So as a company, that's the mission. That's what we're in for. And we're doing an amazing job in connecting the employees of our clients to the best vendors in this space, and bundling all these vendors in plans that normally cost less than the price of a single gym or a single app, and also gives the employees not only the benefit in price, but also the benefit of access to a number of gyms, studios, apps, and etc.
Yeah, you're hitting on a lot of things that are trending right now, right? Wellness and therapy and gyms and fitness, bundling that together for the kind of employee, the corporate wellness employer audience. But you've been at it for some time. This is not a new idea, a new company. What was that initial idea? How has it evolved? And maybe how have you applied those learnings to what the kind of product and platform is today?
Yeah, very good, Joe. So you're right. I've been at this for 12 years. And something I know we're going to explore at some point in time, the rebrand into Wellhub. The feeling I have right now is that we're still at day one. So it looks like we're just starting. But the initial insight came from putting together not only employees and partners in the same ecosystem, but bringing HR leaders as well, because they play a key role here. HR leaders, they have a role in communicating to their employees and enrollment, driving utilization, and they also benefit a lot from having healthier and happier employees. So I think the biggest insight was to create this ecosystem of employers, employees, and partners, to set up this ecosystem, to define the right incentives for everyone to win and for everyone to be willing to contribute. And then for the past 12 years, what we have been doing is scaling that ecosystem to where we are today. We started with nothing 12 years ago, and now we work with almost 20,000 companies, more than 60,000 gyms and studios, almost 100 different well-being apps on the different verticals of well-being. And all of that is integrated in a super seamless way with an app for the employees, with a portal for our clients, and a portal for our partners.
Let's just get to it since you mentioned it. The rebrand evolution from Gympass to Wellhub. And again, obviously it's like now in 2024, almost 2025, when we're talking like holistic wellness and corporate wellness and putting all these pieces together, like it seems obvious, maybe initially it was like, hey, let's just get people in the door at like gyms and studios. Um, when did you have that insight? Hey, we probably need to change and evolve this, and then a huge undertaking to go ahead and do something like that.
For the vast majority of the first 10 years of the business, we were only focused on gyms and studios and in person access to all of them and providing that in person access to the employees of our clients. With the pandemic, what we did was follow our clients and follow the employees on what mattered to them the most at that point in time. And when all the gyms and studios were closed, everyone looked after some other solutions, either fitness apps or nutritional apps or meditation apps. And utilization of those solutions went through the roof. And that's how and why we got into this, and we started adding these different vendors to the standard plans that we had, and we saw a lot of growth even during the pandemic. So we launched our largest client ever during the pandemic and when all the gyms and studios were closed, and it was because we had built a marketplace also of wellness solutions included in the different plans. So in the years after the pandemic, what we saw is that that trend continued: holistic wellness, the integration between physical activity, sleep, and nutrition, and one reinforcing the other for better well-being. And it evolved so much in a way that our corporate clients were coming to us and saying, hey, but you're way more than just a pass for gyms, which was our prior name, Gympass. You're more like a hub for everything related to wellness, everything related to prevention. And we had to explain so much that we were more than gyms and studios that we started to optimize our pitch for when a client would go and say the aha sentence, which is like, oh, you're way more than just a gym pass. And at that time, I knew we needed to make a change. And if we had a shorter term perspective, we probably would not have done the rebrand because it is a huge undertaking, as you said. It requires a lot of work from a lot of people. Required changing the app, changing the communication to our clients, changing how we communicate to employees as well. But because here we're making decisions thinking of 10, 20-year horizon, then it became obvious that we needed to evolve and pick a name that matched the magnitude of our mission and ambition. And right now, like what we're seeing on the product every single day is something very magical. The enrollment rate in our corporate clients, and that's measured by how many employees in every single company are signed up and paying for one of the plans. That number keeps growing every single month. Even for the oldest cohorts, clients we launched in 2018 and 17, when we were still only gyms, because all these new offerings are coming into the platform, more people are signing up. And that means that our platform is getting more relevant to more people. And that type of diversity and inclusion is exactly what wellness needs and what corporate wellness needs. So, in a way, there is a flywheel here of positive news on top of each other that's helping more clients get launched, it's helping more employees to sign up, and it's helping more gyms, studios, and apps to be willing to join this network as well because there's a lot they can benefit from.
I definitely want to talk about the enrollment and engagement piece. I think that's super important. But just talking about this, almost getting pulled into this wellness opportunity when people having the realization, wanting to engage with more, you offer that in the marketplace. It's similar right across the broader fitness industry where people are saying is like, oh, this isn't just about going to the gym. How do we integrate recovery? How do we integrate mental wellness? How do we integrate all these longevity? And opening this door from what is already tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of the opportunity to wow, now we can go all these different paths and partners and inroads. How do you think about when you talk about holistic wellness or wellness in this pitch and explaining it to partners, where to even begin with quantifying what that means, where the lines are, what the categories are, and is there a limit or ceiling to that?
There's not a limit at all, nor ceiling. And what we see every single day with every single client, Joe, is that there is a positive cycle that reinforces itself. And what we see normally is it starts with physical activity. That's the type of habit that helps build other habits on top. And once you are active, you're exercising, like you sleep better, you want to eat better as well. And like you will produce all the endorphins, the hormones you need for a ton of other things. So physical activity is kind of the fundamental block of everything. And like we're letting our clients tell us where we should go next, and so far the verticals we have invested the most are physical activity naturally, nutrition, sleep, mindfulness, and therapy. And we have a complete offering on all these verticals already. We're looking at new things, financial health and longevity, as you mentioned, as potential places in which the platform could grow. And any player in the space can benefit from the more than 3 million subscribers we already have in the 20,000 clients we already have as well. So there's a lot to be gained from, and the biggest thing on this space is that, you know, individual players, some of them, especially the B2B focused ones, they have a very low retention rate over time. Like a company would invest to launch a new benefit, to launch a new app. They normally forget to check that for every single one of these point solutions, like 6 months later, half of the users will have dropped. A year later, you have like a quarter of the users still using that specific solution. And there's no surprise to anyone later when there's a ramp in enrollment in the first year, but then when you look at the outer years, enrollment normally goes down and utilization normally goes down. And that to me is the problem I think we're trying to solve, because there's so many different solutions that might be relevant for different types of people and different profiles of people that there's just a lot of value in aggregating all of them and providing all those options for the employees.
To your point, you have a number of companies trying to almost solve this on their own, going B2B and figuring it out, or B2B2C. And then you have other, whether they describe themselves as aggregators or marketplaces that are trying to bundle different services. At the end of the day, what you have is like a number of stakeholders that you're trying to serve. And how do you, make sure that from the employer perspective, the employees are staying engaged? They're getting their money's worth by subsidizing this and paying for it. The customers are continuing to use it. The partners
Yeah.
on the other end, they're getting value out of being part of the ecosystem. So there's lots of different levers to pull there.
Well, let me touch a few of them. Like first to start with, I think the way our partners see us the most is as their B2B sales channel, like as their channel to get to corporations. They don't invest on anything. That channel is built. We have a lot of relationships already. We keep adding more clients, and we keep being the sales force, the corporate sales force for the entire wellness industry. And I want to continue to be like that because I think there's a huge job to be done, and we're barely scratching the surface with the opportunity. Then going to the client side of the house, corporations, companies offering Wellhub to their employees. We're helping every single HR leader to quantify the impact they're getting from the investments in well-being they're making. And we are in a unique position here because one, there's a lot of volume in the platform, there are a lot of subscribers, and we have very high participation in every single one of our clients. So we matter for that quantification. And there are clients that we have been working for 5 years now, and we have 20-30% of their employees signed up. What we're building, Joe, is case studies looking at hardcore data on healthcare costs, retention, and absenteeism for those employees to prove what is the benefit from getting an employee to exercise. And the results are amazing. When you get an employee to consistently exercise and engage with well-being, that employee is going to spend 35% less on healthcare costs. Number one, that's huge. Second, they're 40% less likely to leave the company just because they're more resilient, they're a better state of mental health, and etc. And absenteeism reduces substantially as well because people get less sick. So just by impacting the lives of the active employees, you can pay back for the program for the entire population. So that's the math we're helping every single client to make, so that they are also super incentivized to communicate to their employees as much as they can. And that's how we connect to the third leg of the ecosystem here, our partners. The one thing I'm proud the most about what we do is that for every single partner that tracks the users we're bringing, invariably 90% of them are new. They have never been to that location before. And it doesn't take me a long time to explain our partners why that happens. It's because when we launch a corporate client, we get very high enrollment rates. We have a client in the US that has 40% enrollment rate. And you guess what? The first 5% were people that were already active. The next 35 percentage points were all new people that we're sending to everyone. By them having all these new people, like they're super happy as well. And they trust us as a B2B sales channel for them.
The Fitt Insider Podcast is brought to you by our friends at EGYM. This is an exciting partnership for us, and not just because EGYM makes some of the most innovative fitness products out there, but because the entire EGYM team, led by their CEO Philip, is committed to making health, fitness, and well-being more accessible for everyone. And that's a mission we can get behind. By combining their smart equipment with integrated software and hundreds of connected partner brands, EGYM helps fitness facilities stand out by delivering a personalized, gamified workout experience that improves outcomes and member engagement. So if you're a gym or health club operator thinking about how to best serve your members while driving business results, go see what EGYM is up to at egym.com. Both of those things you've already kind of alluded to, this kind of compounding, like beneficial cycle that once people are in there, they continue to engage. And of course, you see that from then the partners, they're getting this benefit of having more people build in this already existing sales channel. And some of this might be proprietary, some of the secret sauce. So to the extent that you're able to talk about it, how do you then incentivize? And I'm just thinking about it from like the pricing structure, right? This is how much each person pays. This is how much the partners are getting compensated, because that's another piece of like then making sure that like they feel like they're extracting value, not only in terms of like the people who are participating or maybe new users, but wanting to be part of the marketplace.
The flywheel starts at the employee, right? The value proposition to them has to be unbeatable. Unbeatable from a flexibility point of view, a pricing point of view, also from a digital experience. For them to create challenges, invite their friends to work out, and etc. to doing well-being together. Well-being is social, right? Well-being is not an individual thing. Or the more social it is, the better it gets. Let's put it that way. And that value proposition to employees is critical for high enrollment. That value proposition is critical for people to stay engaged over time. Once enrollment is super high, naturally the volume that our partners are getting is fully incremental because this will be all new people getting to them. And that's the most important factor. The second most important factor is the payments that are the payments we're making to our partners, because it needs to be sustainable to them as well. And we're very proud to be paying our partners similar rates to what they would charge large companies if they had B2B agreements with them. So we make sure this is sustainable on the partner side as well. And then to close the loop, where most of the investment comes from on the company side, the work there is to prove that that's not a cost, that's not an expense. As I said in the beginning, it's an investment, and it's an investment that has a high return. And the insight here is, I think not a single HR leader disputes that this is an investment and that it has some return. What we're helping our clients do is to quantify that so that HR leaders can elevate the conversation from the benefit space to the C-level of large organizations to the CEO of those large organizations. Because if you can have data, you can quantify the impact and you can invest more. And that to me is what's missing. It was missing in this corporate space in several of the markets where we operate, and even in the US, which was the most developed market of all. So that is to me the catalyst that is making every single party on this ecosystem to be willing to contribute. And our ecosystem is getting only stronger over time. And by the way, as the ecosystem gets stronger and we add more partners, like we did with Apple Fitness Plus, Strava, Orange Theory joining our network, then the product gets better, more people sign up, and more people are going to have more options to use. And guess what? Companies are willing to invest more as well. So everyone wins.
The flywheel, as you describe it, it's kind of obvious to see how it continues to compound. More people come in, more partners come in, more clients get on board, and it continues to grow. And that whole thing is very beneficial. And then there's kind of fast forward, as you even described it, decade, multi-decade opportunity here. This is not a short-term thing. We're continuing to build the opportunities to make sure, hey, are people getting the best kind of partners and experience for them? The level of personalization, the level of feedback, the level of course, AI is a buzzword topic right now. How do you think about that is and saying like, okay, these people who are already here, like let's make sure we're serving them the best things for them and maybe recommending things that they didn't know existed before.
Yes. Well-being is like your fingerprint. Everyone have their own and their journey. And where they are in terms of development of that journey is also in like their own thing as well. And to us, recommendation is such a big thing, Joe, because there's so many partners, digital, in person, in so many different verticals of well-being that like we have been doing a lot of work here to become smarter and smarter on which partners to surface to our subscribers at the right time so we maximize value for our subscribers and visits to our partners. We have done an amazing job this past 2 years. The number of employees using more than one partner is through the roof, and it's consistently growing every single quarter, not only because we're adding new partners, but because we're better at recommending partners as well. And the more personal touch, like to me, this is like the next level of the product development. We already have currently a wellness coach for every single one of our subscribers from the silver plan and above. We divide our partners in different plans based on the pricing of those plans. But for in the US, less than $100 a month, you get, in addition to access to different gyms, studios, wellness apps, and etc., you get a coach that will message you once a week and will build a training routine for you and will recommend different partners and will kind of help navigate this journey. AI can help bring that not only to those people but to everyone else. Like, and that's one of the things I'm mostly excited about the next steps here.
Thinking about other aspects of where people are engaging, building on their wellness habits, you obviously have things like apparel, fitness equipment, supplements, like all these kind of ancillary things around this, not just the gyms or digital experience, but even nutrition, food, things like that. To the extent you're kind of engaging with some of these things or thinking about those opportunities, where do these plugins and integrations fit into the ecosystem, if at all?
No, that's a great question. And the reality, Joe, is that there's so many things to be done. I think the opportunity on all the areas you mentioned exists and is one of the things that makes me super excited about what we're building. But on the other hand, let me tell you, like the job in just doing what we're doing in a better way and bringing this to more companies is so difficult and
Mhm.
so important that I'm one of those boring CEOs that keeps repeating the word focus and the word prioritization to our team 100% of the time. So I feel even though there's a ton of opportunity on all these tangential parts of well-being, like we're very happy with the segments we chose. We're building the same authority we have in fitness in every single one of those other verticals that I mentioned before. And I feel there's the opportunity there is huge already. So we're very focused. The next 2 to 3 years is going to be focused on that. And I'm very excited about the future.
We talk about the corporate wellness HR leaders quantifying the investment, making sure that they feel like they're getting their money's worth and it's beneficial to their employees. The next step of that is the healthcare dollars, right? We're talking about prevention, continuing to make sure that people are taking the steps to have those positive lifestyle habits. Where do you think about, okay, not just, and this is, to some extent is already happening where the insurance dollars and payers are investing in the platforms and things like that, but to say, this isn't so much just the employee corporate wellness conversation. This is a broader healthcare conversation, and we're fully taking advantage of those dollars.
Yeah, for sure. To me, this is a public policy matter as well. And like the ecosystem is way bigger than just employees, employers, and different partners. And as it keeps growing and as the results of the interventions are proving to generate results, like it becomes easier and easier to bring those people into the ecosystem. So I think there's a trend here and a lot of tailwinds pushing wellness in the workplace, and the number of stakeholders that can be involved, like, are we broader than what we're currently considering? And to me, it starts with delivering measurable results that are sustainable and that continue to generate positive outcomes regardless of just
Yeah.
one single intervention. Like, that's what I feel corporate wellness lacked all these years, and that's what we're figuring out that has a solution for. And our clients are appreciating the work we're doing, and I'm seeing the KPIs improve every single day. And I think that's the path to get more people in and more people involved. And make no mistake, I feel like the people that are involved in this ecosystem, they already know of this. Like, we ask employees every single year. We interview 5,000 employees every single year, from clients, from non-clients. People are saying that well-being is as important as their salary. More than 85% of people we interview say that. And like, they realize whether a company has a check the box solution, like that they just have to say they have, or if they really care about people's well-being. And they're saying they will leave their company if the company doesn't prioritize their well-being. So well-being from an employee point of view has become an imperative. And from the employer's point of view, more and more CEOs are talking about this. Board members are talking about this. And like, the work here is kind of democratize the access that the CEOs have, board members have, to everyone else in the organization. And it needs to be in an efficient way, because otherwise, like, no one's going to have access to the same type of resources that the C-suite has. So the trends are already there. It was already there before the pandemic. The pandemic only accelerated it, and and they're going to be here for the next 10 years for sure.
Yeah, it's undeniable at this point. It's almost like you say, it's going in. You're not having to do the kind of big song and dance about convincing and persuading. It's more so quantifying and making it tangible to them to say, oh, yes, we can justify this when we know it's the right thing to do. And heck, like you say, the C-suite and the execs, they're already doing it. So like, let's make it accessible to everybody.
And normally when we have these conversations, it's very easy to go to like the largest employers that we have on our network, or the largest gym chains, the best apps, because those are the brands that like are in the zeitgeist already. Everyone knows about them. But one cool thing that's happening, Joe, and normally people don't talk about, is that 90% of our partners are independent gym owners, studios, like, are entrepreneurs with one, two, five locations, are not the big chains, 90% of them. And what I'm seeing now is all this entrepreneurship in our ecosystem flourishing, like, and a lot of people coming back at investing in this sector, coming back at deploying capital. And like, it's getting me more and more excited about how this is going to grow around the world, like not only in the US, in Latin America, all over Europe. I'm seeing our industry booming like it never boomed before, like, and that's great. Like, I think there's only more benefit in having more supply and having more investment, and us shining more of a light in this space. And this is why I'm so thankful for the work you do every single day.
Yeah, we love to see it as well. It's like, ultimately you want to see, yeah, you're building a business and you're an entrepreneur, you're a gym owner. It's like, hey, we need to figure out how to partner with this employer or sell this or do more of that. It's like, you want that trainer or coach or expert to focus on the thing that they're an expert at, that they're passionate about, that they want to wake up every day and deliver the best experience possible. It's like, not that them get pulled in this direction where they have to go figure out how to start a corporate wellness program for their 5 location gym or studio. So yeah, it's incredible to see.
And from one day to the next, they can benefit from the 20,000 clients we already have, it's just by getting onto the platform and benefiting. So
Yeah, maybe a few more questions before we wrap up. Circling back to what you said, and I think it was really important. So I don't want to gloss over, which was like, hey, there are a ton of opportunities. And yeah, we can do a lot of really cool things long term, maybe, maybe not, but we need to stay focused. And what that says to me as an operator is like, hey, we have figured out the equation and we see how these things compound and where they go if we do this the correct way. How do you, as a leader, building a company, obviously super passionate about this, not get distracted, keep your team focused, hammer the kind of, sounding like a broken record to say, no, this is how we execute, this is where we go, and like, this is what's going to happen when we get there.
Yeah, so to me, starts with having clarity around what's the North Star of the mission, where we're going, and why we're here. And to me, we're here to help every single employee check in with their well being every day. That means 100% enrollment and one check in a day at least for every single employee. And that's a hard mission to pick because we're not starting nowhere close to that. But if you fast forward 10 years, it's certainly where we should be, Joe. Everyone should be checking in with their well being every single day. The world would only be a better world if that's happening. And with that in mind, and knowing that there's a formula that works, there's a playbook that get our clients where they need to be making those investments and to be investing more over time, then it's very easy not to be distracted by all the other things that might work, but you don't know, and you're going to have to invest a lot of energy trying to figure them out. So there's always a conversation. You need to have some like innovation. You need to be constantly telling new things. I try to compartmentalize that in specific areas of the business so we never stop. But like you said, I think the opportunity is so huge that we're late. We can't wait, and we should be all working to deliver better results. And we should be trying to grow faster, trying to bring more companies into investing in well-being. Add the partners that we don't have yet. There are very few partners we don't have yet on our platform. We should be working very hard to add them, and constantly thinking that like that's the vision. We're nowhere close to it. We gotta get there. That is a great reliever. It's a great excuse to say no to everything else.
As you think about what's next, obviously you mentioned 12 years kind of in the making, raised, hundreds of millions in venture capital, building towards, a long-term vision. How do you think about what's next in terms of financing the company, exiting, growing? Certainly going public is an option. What does that kind of roadmap look like to you?
Everyone in the organization is heads down, focused on growing and delivering value to our ecosystem. Those are the two most important priorities for 2025 and beyond. We want to keep adding great partners to this ecosystem, and we want to keep delivering more and more value to each one of them over time. That has made our plate full. And even though we're now, like as you said, quite scaled, we raised more than $500 million in venture capital and growth equity to date. We have about 2,000 employees in the 11 countries where we operate. We work with almost 20,000 clients, many of them in multiple countries, and we're seeing global expansion within those accounts because it's way easier to build a case in one country versus next. But the opportunity is so big in the markets where we currently operate. There's so many more companies that should be investing in the well-being of their employees that are not investing yet, that like we're not even looking that much on all these other options. And I'm really taking a long-term perspective in thinking about this opportunity here, because this is not going to get fixed in a year or two. But as everyone says, we tend to underestimate the impact in 10 years. I'm pushing to do not underestimate, to more than over deliver on in a 10-year horizon here.
And wrapping up, like, what's the best place to learn more, follow along? Do you direct them to the website, social? How do you engage with those partners? Yeah, and I just think really make those connections.
Social media accounts on LinkedIn, Instagram are great for people to get to know more about Wellhub. If you are a gym or a studio, you're going to have in us an agnostic partner that is working to be the dedicated sales force for you to have access to all these companies. If you're an employer, we want to get your employees active and happy and healthy. We have a great track record in doing so. And if you're a wellness enthusiast and your company doesn't have Wellhub yet, refer your employer. We want to grow, and the idea is to keep growing very fast for the following years.
Perfect. We'll make sure that those links are in the show notes, direct people to that, and really continue to look forward to what you're building and what comes next. But we appreciate the time and insights. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you got value from the conversation, please consider subscribing and sharing the podcast with a friend or colleague. It's a massive help. And if you want more content like this, including news and insights on the latest industry developments, subscribe to the Fitt Insider newsletter at insider.fit.co. And one more thing, you can learn more about our recruiting and consulting services at fit.co. That's FITT.co. I'll see you here next week.